Good day, mates. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a juicy topic that's sending ripples through Australia's political landscape, and it could affect the 2025 federal election in ways you might not expect. We are talking about the fallout from the WA election and what it means for Peter Dutton's path to power. Now, let me set the stage for you. The WA Labor Party's massive win in the state election was a shockwave that is likely to have far-reaching consequences for the federal election. Sky News host James Morrow summed it up pretty well, pointing out that this win will undoubtedly ripple across the country, with opposition leader Peter Dutton feeling the heat. The Labor victory wasn't just a local triumph, it could be the beginning of a major shift in federal politics. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of why Peter Dutton might be facing an uphill battle. Let's talk about the numbers. In typical Aussie fashion, WA's election wasn't just a matter of ticking boxes. It was a contest that featured both state and federal dimensions. While the state election was heavily influenced by local issues, the federal implications are what people are really paying attention to. As James Morrow mentioned, the Labor brand in WA held up surprisingly well. Sure, there were some modest swings in areas like Subiaco and Tangley, but once you venture out to places like Canning, you see the Liberal vote holding strong and Labor losing ground. This suggests that the Liberal Party's traditional strongholds outside the CBD are still intact, but their grip may be loosening. Could this be a sign of things to come in the federal election? You bet it is. Take a look at the suburbs around Pearce, for example. These areas, made up of hard-working families, FIFO workers, and aspiring middle-class Aussies, were once a safe Liberal territory. Yet, in this WA election, Labor managed to make significant inroads. The swing in places like Pearce, where the demographics are almost identical to some of the Liberal-held seats on the East Coast, shows that even the most secure Liberal seats are vulnerable to Labor's growing influence. What's going on here? Have voters had enough of the Liberal Party's usual tactics, or are they simply looking for something new? But there's more to this than just swing seats and voter sentiment. When you zoom out, you see the bigger picture. The federal election is shaping up to be a battle over cost of living pressures and the looming interest rates crisis. These issues are front and center, especially in outer suburban areas like Canning. Tony Berry, Director of Corporate Affairs at Redbridge Group, points out that seats like Canning are some of the most mortgage-stressed areas in the country. With the cost of living skyrocketing, people are looking for relief, and they aren't necessarily looking to the Liberals for that answer. In fact, Barry highlights that the next federal election could be won or lost based on who can offer real, sustainable solutions to these issues. Right now, it's hard to see how Peter Dutton and the coalition can shift the conversation away from the pain people are feeling in their wallets. Sure, the Liberals may try to throw a few sweeteners in their budget to win over key voters, but as Barry says, voters aren't stupid. They know that short-term fixes like tax cuts and one-off payments aren't the long-term solution. What Australians want is a government that's willing to tackle the bigger issues, like tax reform, and create a sustainable budget that benefits everyone. But here's where things get interesting. 4 months now, Peter Dutton and the coalition have been taking a Me Too approach to politics, simply copying whatever Labor does but offering a slightly different version. For example, Dutton has been trying to outdo the government on healthcare funding, adding more money to Medicare, but does that really speak to voters? Or is it just another example of the Liberals failing to offer something bold and new? What the voters really want is leadership that isn't afraid to tackle the tough issues. And that's where Dutton's nuclear policy comes in. It's been a bit of a talking point lately, and while it has its risks, it shows that Dutton is willing to have the tough conversations. He's putting out bold ideas that may not win him friends in the short term, but could make a real difference in the long term. But will voters buy into it? That remains to be seen. At the end of the day, the fallout from WA's election is forcing Peter Dutton and the coalition to rethink their strategy. It's clear that they can't keep playing it safe. If they want to have any hope of winning the federal election, they are going to need to offer real solutions to the issues that matter most to Australians. Whether it's the cost of living, interest rates, or tax reform, voters are looking for a government that's willing to face up to these challenges head-on. But let's not forget about the other side of the aisle. While Dutton is trying to find his footing, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is facing his own set of challenges. James Morrow points out that Albanese's small target strategy worked in the last election, but it's not going to work forever. Albanese has no clear second-term agenda, and his government has been criticised for not putting forward any big ideas. This leaves the door wide open for Dutton to make a move, but will he be able to capitalise on Albanese's weaknesses? One thing that's clear from the WA election fallout is that both major parties are struggling to keep up with the rapidly changing political landscape. Voters are fed up with the status quo, and they are looking for a government that will act decisively. So, while the battle for the 2025 federal election might still seem far off, the WA election has given us a glimpse of what's to come. And here's where it gets even more interesting: the relationship with the United States. A recent poll revealed that Australians are more concerned about our relationship with the US than they are about Donald Trump himself. In fact, while Trump's popularity in Australia is at rock bottom, a majority of voters still believe that managing our ties with the US is one of the most important issues facing the country. Interestingly, when asked who they prefer to manage that relationship, Dutton came out on top, with a solid lead over Albanese. But could this lead shift if the US continues to make moves that put Australia in a tough position? With all these moving parts, one thing is certain: the fallout from the WA election has set the stage for a major showdown in 2025. Dutton has a tough road ahead, but if he can navigate the political minefield and offer bold solutions to the issues that matter, he just might be able to pull off a win. Will the coalition rise to the challenge, or will Albanese's Labour government continue to hold its ground? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: the next election is shaping up to be one of the most heated in recent memory. So, what do you think? Is Peter Dutton the man to lead the coalition to victory, or will Labour continue to dominate the political landscape? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more political insights and analysis. Catch you in the next video.